When primitive camping, there are occasions where we need 120 volts to charge our mobile phones, cameras, and computers. That is why I installed the Bestek 500-watt inverter. To ensure there is adequate 12-volt power, I also installed the Renogy 500-amp battery monitor. I determined the best place for these two units was in the bedroom. The best place in the bedroom would be in a cabinet. I created a new cabinet space by cutting out the area where the TV would have gone in the bedroom. I built this shelf here to use the 120 volt shore power. All I need to do is cut into this area, fish the wires down through the wall to the fuse box below. The area I selected is just above the fuse box for the RV. Now that I have a plan, let me get the supplies and the tools together to move this project forward. I used the endoscope to ensure I would not cut any other cables and to see what was behind the wall. The view from the endoscope confirmed it was a big open space, and it also showed me where the location of the wires were behind the wall. The Dremel was definitely the wrong tool. A change of tools and procedures was required. A mask was necessary, along with having a vacuum to clean up the messy sawdust. The next step is to get the wires from this location down to the fuse box below. There was access next to the fuse box. I removed the cover. Using the endoscope camera and light, I was able to find a way from this top panel cutout all the way down to the fuse box on the bottom. The light on the endoscope made it very easy to find it when it got down to the bottom panel. I pulled the endoscope cable out into the bedroom so that I could attach the cables to pull them back up to the top panel. I taped together the Renogy cable and the number 8 wire together and attached them to the end of the endoscope cable, and then pulled all the cables back to the top. Now that all the wires are in place for installation, I have the following items that need to be done. I need a 12-volt positive feed to the number 8 AWG wire just installed for the Bestek inverter. I need a 12-volt positive feed to the number 14 AWG wire for the 500 amp shunt Renogy battery monitor. I need to attach a 12-volt negative feed to the number 8 AWG wire for the Bestek inverter. I need a 12-volt negative number 6 AWG wire from the battery, must be attached to the 500 amp shunt by Renogy, and all 12-volt negatives must go through the 500 amp shunt. A 12-volt positive distribution bus bar installation is needed. There is the existing number 6 AWG positive wire from the battery that goes to the fuse box. I disconnected the number 6 AWG positive wire from the battery. I removed it from the fuse panel and connected it to the positive distribution block bus bar. I connected the number 8 AWG wire just installed for the Bestek inverter to the positive distribution block bus bar. I connected the number 14 AWG wire with a 500 amp shunt Renogy battery monitor to the positive distribution block bus bar. There is an existing negative 12-volt distribution bus bar which has all fuse lines connected to the number 6 AWG wire from the negative battery terminal. I disconnected the number 6 AWG negative wire from the battery from the negative distribution bus bar and connected it to the designated side of the Renogy battery monitor negative 500 amp shunt. I connected the number 6 AWG negative wire from the battery to the designated side of the Renogy battery monitor negative 500 amp shunt. The 12-volt negative number 8 AWG wire installed for the Bestek inverter was then connected to the negative distribution bus bar. The number 8 AWG wire coming from the power bus bar to the inverter goes to a 50 amp breaker. I ran an 8 gauge wire from the breaker to the Bestek 500 watt inverter. To the right of the cabinet, I have two 120 volt shore power plugs, 15 amp. Inside the cabinet, the Bestek gives me two USB plugs and two 120 volt inverter plugs, 40 amp each. In addition, above the Bestek inverter is the Renogy 500 amp battery monitor. The Renogy battery monitor depicted that the batteries, which are 4 years old, were not holding a charge. The parasitic power draw is 3 watts continual. The installation of the Renogy battery monitor at the fuse box means that the power trailer jack and the auxiliary terminals were bypassed. The power usage watts would not be monitored, however their draw would be depicted on the power level of the volts. I replaced the two batteries with West Marine Deep Cycle 75 amp hour batteries. Placing the two 75 amp hour batteries in parallel allows for the combining of the two 75 amp hours together for a total of 150 amp hours. These are 12 volt wet cell batteries. Since you can only use 50% of their power, I can only get 75 amp hours with the batteries combined. As I was hooking up the main cable from the fuse box to the terminal of the battery, something just felt wrong. When I pulled off the shrink wrap, I discovered that the connector on the battery cable was not connected correctly.
I've been having a wiring issue come up on my dashboard, and as I was changing these batteries out, look at that. Are you kidding me? Can you see that? Luckily I have this to be able to repair that.
The battery cable has been repaired. The installation of the batteries is complete. I can put everything away now. I store my Anderson levelers in here, and I store my tire pump in here. I also store my sewer hose support in here. I'm setting up my Renogy battery monitor. First, I'll set the 75 amp hours. Then I'll set the warning for high voltage at 13.9. Low voltage is at 12.2, which is at 50%. If the watt-hour usage will deplete the batteries to 12.2 within 5 hours, a warning will go off. The next step is to go through and turn on each of the appliances and see how much they draw in wattage. New 75 amp hour deep cycle batteries, Bestek 500 watt inverter power, Renogy 500 amp battery monitor. I'm looking forward to my next camping event and checking out all this new installation.